Welcome to the LGBTQ Real Estate Podcast, connecting LGBTQ homebuyers, sellers, and real estate pros sharing the best of their local community. Today we have a very special guest. I haven't seen Nicole since Asheville, North Carolina last year at the NAGREP LGBTQ Real Estate Conference, which was amazing. We had a great time together. Nicole Duffey is a realtor from Fairfax, Virginia, including Northern Virginia, and also the Metro Washington, D.C. area. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me, Jeff.
Oh, such a pleasure. Yeah, it's great to see you. Typically, the show is about 15 minutes. We know everybody's busy. We have a lot of respect for everybody's time. We're going to jump right into it. And the idea of this show is if you're looking for a realtor or to know more about homes and real estate and the area of where Nicole services, now you've got someone because her contact information is there. Also, a link to her website will be in the information area of this podcast. Let's jump into it. Nicole, share with us a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally.
Personally, professionally, my bio is not that uncommon. Real estate was not my first career. I started out as a theater kid. I have a master's degree in theater history and criticism. After that, after theater, I sort of segued into nonprofit administration, which is part of what kept me in the DC metro area. And in 2014, I wound up with a big shakeup in my personal life, and I decided to go ahead and give real estate a try. Figuring out that I could consult people and have my own business doing that was a really, really good fit for me personally. And I've been a full-time agent ever since.
Awesome. Well, it's a great story. Like you said, it's not out of the ordinary. You know, real estate is typically someone's second career, sometimes even third. But with your background, I imagine it really helps a lot with working with people. So that goes into our next question. I know you have many LGBTQ clients. Mm-hmm. What is it about working with the LGBTQ community that you enjoy so much?
Well, to a certain extent, it's because they're my people. My introduction to making friends in Northern Virginia when I moved here was through several different gaming groups. And the Venn diagram of people who are nerds and gamers and people who are queer, like they overlap quite a bit.
They intersect. Great.
Yeah, they intersect quite a bit. And so that allowed me to be in a position to, especially when I'm helping people purchase property, to speak to their needs at a higher level and have a much better understanding of family dynamics. And I think a lot of my clients have really felt like they can be open and honest with me about their lives, the details of what's happening for them, and how all of that works. And just it's let me really do a much better job of guiding people through the process, I think, than if I didn't have that shared commonality with my clients.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. And, you know, that's what we're all about here. So I know someone that's watching this, you know, stumbled upon it in their YouTube feed or the algorithm. And, you know, we're just happy that you as a resource are there. Because, you know, sometimes someone searches on Google, you know, a little bit about the area, homes for sale, but really knowing someone in the community that can help them with their needs and kind of walk them through, you know, and that goes into our next question. Share with us why you love living in your community. For example, what are your favorite parts of your city? I know you cover a large area, but if you can share with us some of your favorite parts, whether the arts, dining, great coffee shops, wine bars, the job market, ease of commuting, which doesn't really exist where you are, the schools, maybe place of worship. Tell us.
Yeah. So my like I said, primarily my clientele is a specific person as opposed to a specific geographic area. So Northern Virginia is part of the Metro Washington, D.C. umbrella. So a lot of the people here are commuting into city center. They're taking the metro, they're taking the VRE train. And what is going to work housing wise when we're contemplating a purchase, there's usually a lot of different ways to figure that out. One of my very first buyers I met at an open house in Springfield. And when our very first conversation was, I want to be in this zip code. I want to be in this school district where this open house is. And that's what I want you to help me find, Nicole. This house wasn't, the house I was holding open was not the right fit for her at that time. And 3 months later, she bought a house an hour away from where that open house was. But it was the right choice. It was a great choice for her family, in part because we were able to sort of like walk through what they needed, why they needed it, how that was going to work for them. And so a big thing about Northern Virginia is that we have lots of little, little jurisdictions within a large metro area, and they each kind of have their own trade-offs as far as how rural or suburban and really suburban, rural they feel. For me personally, where I live is technically a Fairfax address, but if anyone familiar with the area would kind of think of it as Burke, which means nothing to anybody who doesn't live here. But I'm really close to the VRE train station in Burke. And I think that it's a very underutilized commuting tool for people who do need to get into city center, but are still interested in that more suburban lifestyle and would like to have the sort of housing that provides to be a little further out.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And Northern Virginia is so pretty. I mean, just for example, fall foliage, the fall season.
We get all 4 seasons here.
Yeah, there's wine country actually in Northern Virginia. There's so much to offer.
There is. We have a lot of tech as well, a lot of non-for-profits.
See, there I diverted to wine again. I'm sorry.
Hey, I like what you like.
But let's talk about the job market. You're right, the tech, and go ahead.
Well, yeah, we've got tech. Certainly, government contracting is a big part of our economy, which is either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what's happening in the world. It has traditionally sort of insulated the DC metro area from a lot of the ups and downs that the overall U.S. economy can take. We're curious to see where the latest administration is going to take us on that. Definitely having a lot of conversations about that right now. And I know we're trying to make this a little more for everybody and on all time. And it's been an interesting time to be working in Washington, D.C. I'm sure whoever looks at this video will see about when it was posted and can extrapolate from there.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. It's something that's changing day by day. But, if we look over history, things always change. So we're going to adapt and we're going to, push through this. So someone that is watching this video, maybe they're looking for a home right now, for example, or they're thinking of moving to your area. Tell us about the diverse housing stock in the communities that you work in, not necessarily for sale right now, because we want this video to transcend time. But for example, I'm guessing you work with single family, townhomes, condos, maybe lake homes, urban downtown areas. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Fairfax County, which is where I live and also where my brokerage is. I service Fairfax and Prince William, as well as Arlington, Alexandria, which are their own little separate jurisdictions closer into the city. A lot of that is suburban. We have, if you want to talk about Old Town Alexandria, it is a very sort of historic, small, townhouses that are pretty tall and skinny. In a very walkable area. We've got little pockets of extremely walkable suburban, downtown main streets. Pretty much each little town, Old Town Alexandria, Occoquan, Herndon, Reston, everybody has their own little sections that are very, very walkable. And then also lots of, you kind of want to have a car suburbia between all of them. Typically grouped around metro stations. So the closer you are to a metro station, the more likely you are to find things that are very walkable, lots of restaurants, lots of shopping. Housing inventory. One of the things I've learned recently, we don't have a lot of zoning for multifamily here. We have a lot of condos, we have a lot of single family homes, and we have a ton of townhouses. If you're just getting familiar with the area, one thing I would encourage you to keep in mind is that a townhouse in Northern Virginia can be anything from a 900 square foot, 2-level, tiny little starter home, all the way up to like, we'll build townhouses here that are 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
That are bigger than single family homes in a lot of other parts of the country, in part because we're very densely populated. We're trying to get as much housing inventory in the places people want to live as we can. I wish we had a lot more zoning for accessory dwelling units and for taking some of our single family homes and turning them into multifamily. But we don't have that right now. So the sort of solution the marketplace came up with was to build a whole bunch of townhouses. There are certainly some jurisdictions here where a single family home or a townhouse may be comparable in price, depending on the specifics of the location and the square footage that the property offers.
Well, that sounds nice. A lot of walkable towns. I think that's very desirable.
Mm-hmm.
And a little something for everybody, the size of the home and, different price points. And
Definitely.
well, that's great. Great. So our next question. So what should LGBTQ individuals and families who are considering moving to your area know about the community and its welcomingness to LGBTQ families?
Northern Virginia, overall, very blue. Has been for a long time. We're a metro. We're like part of the metro area, and in my experience, a lot of cities will have like a district or like this is kind of the neighborhood. Like if you know, this is the neighborhood that queers want to be in.
Yeah.
What is really interesting, and I have multiple times over the years, like done like polls on my social media and talked to my friends and like talked to my clients. There is no, in Northern Virginia, at least in the district, there's a couple of places that are kind of hotspots for community. In Northern Virginia, we're a lot more spread out. The housing choices that I've seen people make are not based on, well, this is where my community is. The community is just sort of everywhere. Like we're kind of baked in. And so you don't really have a lot of like districts where we find community. It's spread out throughout the entire Northern Virginia region.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
10 years ago, we probably would have been speaking a different story of that. And, I think it's a great thing that, the current environment is like that. It was very different 10 years ago. Let's say that. I remember before same-sex marriage was legal, for example, Virginia was very, very conservative. Very conservative. So
Well,
I think it opened the door, right?
And I think the distinction between Virginia and Northern Virginia is really important to make. If I pick, like if I drive an hour and a half south, it might be a lot harder to have a pride flag out in front of my house. But because we're basically Washington, D.C., right? We're basically a city. The difference between rural Virginia and Northern Virginia is very, very palpable. It is reflected in the pricing too, right? Like it's miles away as far as what the price points are just to get a starter home in Northern Virginia versus the more rural areas of the state. And it's a huge state too.
Yeah, well, that's all really important information to someone watching this. Okay, so we're doing great on time. We're at our last question. Besides helping people buy and sell homes, when you're not working, what do you like to do?
I'm a huge nerd. We're gamers. So tabletop games, video games. I've been playing a lot of cozy games on my Switch to make it through these trying times. And we also are pretty active in the live action role-playing game community. So we go LARPing 4 or 5 times a year.
Wow, very cool. Well, that's great. And I'm sure people watching this video have that same thing in common with you. So, and whether it's that or looking to buy a home, I think it's great because sometimes, when I speak to people, for example, some people ask me, is there a great gay bowling league in your area? That's a big thing. To the average person, it may not be. So we're just kind of talking out loud about this. So it's interesting, the subgroups and, the different niches that evolve. Well, this is great. We are thankful for you to join us on the show. We're just under 15 minutes, so we did great.
Go team.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. And we hope to see you in Savannah this year at the NAGREP event.
That's my plan. I plan on being there.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Atlanta's it's like I'm from Atlanta, so like if I
Oh,
go to Savannah, I get to go see all my friends and family down there. So
awesome. And for
that's
anyone
an easy.
watching this, Nicole spoke at our recent event. She's an educator in real estate. So if you want to work with someone that knows the rules, the laws, and everything about real estate, and work with someone that's going to dot all your I's, cross all your T's, it's Nicole. I
Yeah,
know that
that's
for
what I'm
sure.
about. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jeff.
yeah, it's a pleasure. It's been great to see you, and we'll see you on YouTube.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye.